This Highland County Press video is brought to you by, for every season and every member of the family, Stevens Best Hardware. It's more than just hardware. Located at 1450 Jefferson Street in Greenfield. Members of the Hillsborough City Council and City Administration are disagreeing on what township residents should have to pay for fire and EMS coverage, especially compared to what the residents of Hillsborough pay. During a meeting Thursday of Council's Finance Committee, Hillsborough Auditor Gary Lewis gave a breakdown of figures regarding standalone services for operating fire and EMS in the city and the additional costs of contracting with the townships. Lewis said services would cost an estimated $27 each year for the 12,000 residents who live in Hamer, Jackson, Liberty, Paint, Newmarket, and Washington townships. Costs for Hillsborough residents are between $75 and just over $100 per year through the city's safety levy.
Well, I guess, this is a council decision. I just don't understand why, if I live in Hillsborough and I'm paying $106 a year, so I don't understand. I realize that this is our firehouse and our fire trucks and our employees, but we're paying for maintenance, education, training, we're paying for uniforms, we're paying for all that, and we receive, if there's a run that goes out of here to the township, and 5 seconds later there's a run that comes to for the city, and there's one squad available, the squad's going to go to the township. There's no preference on service. We're both receiving the same service. I don't understand why the city is required to pay more than the townships are paying because the firehouse is in the middle of Hillsborough.
Well, no matter what, we have to have a building. I mean, as long as we have a standalone department in the city, we have to have a building, we have to have the equipment, we're going to have that no matter what. Now, granted, we provide service outside the city where additional wear and tear on the equipment, additional manpower, all that sort of stuff certainly, is a factor, and
fuel costs.
To consider fuel costs. And so, in terms of coming up with some figures, that's why we tried to attribute part of that to the equipment in terms of the manpower, what it costs us for the additional staff. So we try to break it down to if we were just doing a standalone department for the city only versus providing service to the townships.
With multiple pages of figures to consider, committee members Peter Pence and David Shoemaker said they wanted more time to go over the numbers and will meet again next week before making a recommendation. Holt said that council will need to hold a special session to ratify the costs for the contract in order to meet a June 29th deadline set by the townships. Highland County Prosecutor Annika Collins, legal counsel to the townships, said the deadline had to be set so that the townships could determine if they need to put on levies for the November general election. The deadline for ballot issues is in early August. Prior to the adjournment of the meeting, Pence asked Holt to explain why he decided to send the letter in March, telling townships that their services would be canceled.
I think it's important that there's an understanding about where the administration came up with their information when making the decision to send out the letter.
Where it came from?
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that we were going to carry over $70,000 for 2012, and with the cost of doing business, making runs to the township, so we couldn't afford it.
So your decision was based off of the fact that our carryover was $70,000, and you were under the impression that we would not be able to afford to carry the service out throughout the rest of the year.
Especially when we're not giving service to the citizens.
I guess being realistic is the $70,000 that we're carrying basically came from the street department. That's $70,000. And those streets that I keep getting calls about, they're not going to be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be filled with potholes. So we don't have the monies to do what we're supposed to do but we got money to provide service for the township. That's the glitch.
I understand that, that's why I asked you the question.
Here's the answer.
All right.